everybody, this is just a short tutorial on some metallic watercolour paints that a lot of you will have seen me using quite recently on various posts that I've been putting on our Facebook site. I just wanted to give you a quick look, and you may not be able to see these because you've got to get it in the light quite right, but you can see here that I've used some metallic paint on the bee's wings and on his body in the terms of the gold, and I've done some little mushrooms down here. And then the one that you probably might have seen would have been the Johanna Basford's, this is from Johanna Basford's Ivy and the Inky Butterfly, is the candelabra, which you may have seen that I painted in gold. So today's tutorial is just a little bit of follow-up because you've been asking me about these paints. And these are they are Finatech, and I've got the set of 6 here that are silver and gold, and there's one bronze on the end. They have been rebranded and they are called Coliro, C-O-L-I-R-O. So if you're looking on Amazon for them, either Finatech or Coliro is exactly the same brand, and they are mica pigment watercolour based paints. Now, a lot of you, I think, use these for calligraphy, but once I discovered them with the help of Colour with Claire Eady, thank you Claire, the possibilities for Ivy and the Inky Butterfly, or indeed any of Johanna Basford's books, are endless really. So it was just really a little quick tutorial on how I've been using them. So what I've got out is, obviously I've got my set of paints. I've got a very, very fine modelling paintbrush. It's not a posh one, it's not a sable hair or anything like that. It's just a 3-0 modelling paintbrush that has a very, very fine brush tip on the end. I've also got out a very fine tip 0.05 black fine liner. Again, it doesn't have to be any brand. It's just best that you have this really, really tiny point, because what we'll do is, even with a tiny brush, you can't help going over the lines a little bit when you're painting, and this is just really useful for going over any lines that you've painted on. Also, I've got out just a little egg cup full of plain tap water, and I've got myself out a little sponge here to clean my brush. So what I've found is with these paints, they take very, very, very little water, So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I'll put my egg cup there so you can see. So I'm just going to soak my brush for a couple of seconds completely in the water. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the Arabic gold, which is this particular gold here. And I'm going to put the tiniest bit of a few drops of water, just a few times, onto the paint. And that is literally all it will take, which is great because Johanna's books aren't watercolour paper. And the more water you put onto the page, the more you risk the paper warping. However, because these paints take so little water to get a depth of colour, you won't risk warping the page if you follow these kind of these guidelines. So I'm just literally mixing a tiny, tiny bit, and I'm making sure that my brush is completely covered on all sides with the paint. And I'm just leaving it a few seconds, because what I found is that if you leave the water on the surface of the paint for 5 to 10 seconds, it really thickens it up nicely, and it'll mean that you probably only need one coat. You won't need to go over it. So you can see that I've got my brush nicely coated there, and there's no excess water on the end. And then basically you just paint away. So if we, for instance, take one of these flowers here, and you can see why I've got such a small brush, because the actual shape of the petals is quite small and narrow where it goes down to the base where the bud is. And it's as easy as that, and it is such a lot of fun. And then if you find that you have no more paint left on your brush, you just repeat the process. So all I'm doing is putting the very, very tip of those hairs of my brush in the top of the water. So I'm not immersing all of the hairs of my brush, because I need very, very little water. And then just putting it back into that paint and dabbing it a few times. And you can see that you will only need one coat. because the depth of that mica pigment in these paints is so rich. It just gives you a really even coat with virtually no water. And as I say, the drier that you can work on the page, the better, because it's not watercolour paper. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit, because you might be able to see that even with a tiny, tiny brush, which I'm just going to wash off in my egg cup and dab onto my cloth, that even with the tiniest of brushes, you still go over the black lines of Johanna's design a tiny bit. This is where the fine liner comes in. And to be honest, because you're using so little water, this paint dries, not instantly, but it'll dry within about 30 seconds to a minute. So you don't have to wait very long before you just take the fine liner and just go around the outline of that, so that any tiny little bits that you've painted over on that black line just looks 100% perfect. And basically that's it. They come as a full set of 38 colours, which you can get from Calero Germany direct. The sets of 6 come in various palette tones. As I say, these are the silver, gold and bronze, and these you can get in various palettes from Amazon, or I'm sure you'll be able to get them on eBay, or various other art sources that you have available to you. Again, any questions, just drop me a line. As I say, they're very, very easy to use. If you get the water content right, they will only need one cover, and there's very, very little risk of warping to that page with the water content. So, for those of you who've bought them already, I hope you enjoy them. And for those of you who haven't, I hope you try them. Bye for now, guys.